10 years ago I took over my brother's mortgage. Now he says he remembers nothing, and my family calls me a traitor. I am 30, married, with a child. I want to tell a story that has been hanging over my life for 10 years. Right now I feel like something inside me has died when it comes to my parents and my brother, and I honestly cannot understand whether I am truly the bad one here, or whether everyone simply treated me unfairly. About 10 years ago, my parents and my brother bought a house together, each with their own share. After some time they had a major fight. According to my parents, my brother started saying he wanted to get rid of his share, that he no longer wanted to participate in the mortgage, and that he was tired of everything. My parents panicked. They told me that if he pulled out, the bank would take his share, auction it off, and strangers would end up living in the house with them. They kept saying things like, "Do you understand what will happen to us? We will be thrown out, the family will fall apart, if you do not help, everything will be ruined." I was barely in my 20s. I was still under their influence and afraid to disappoint them. In the end they told me that I needed to take over my brother's mortgage, transfer his share into my name to save the house and the family. On paper it looked voluntary. In reality it happened because of fear, pressure, guilt, and emotional manipulation. Things like, "If you do not do this, something terrible will happen to us." So my brother walked away from his responsibility. And I became the one carrying his mortgage. After some time my brother and my parents reconciled. Their life went back to normal. The fight seemed to disappear from their memory. But the fact that I was now the one legally responsible for his mortgage also seemed to disappear from their minds. They behaved as if nothing had happened. But for me the consequences were very real. This mortgage affected every part of our life. Even though my parents made the monthly payments, the legal loan was in my name. For banks and lenders I looked like someone with a large active mortgage. Because of that we could not get a mortgage for our own home. We could not finance things normally. Leasing a decent car meant either rejection or huge interest rates. Even getting a phone on a basic plan meant extra charges or refusals. We constantly paid more and got less, simply because I was carrying a debt that was never mine. People may ask why we did not live in my parents' house. We tried. For a year. But my parents have many pets, especially dogs, and my husband has a severe allergy to specific compounds dogs release. Not just sneezing. His whole body would be covered in rashes, his skin inflamed, he could not sleep, he scratched himself until bleeding. Doctors confirmed it. The only way for him to live without constant inflammation was not to live with dogs. We never asked my parents to get rid of their animals. It was their home and their choice. So we quietly moved out and rented a place. It was a forced decision. But my mother did not believe the allergy. She said it was an excuse. She created her own version of the story, that we simply did not want to live with them, that we wanted our freedom. The medical facts did not fit her version, so she ignored them. 10 years passed. There is about 1 year left to pay on the mortgage. During this time, all our friends bought homes, some even bought a second property. My brother is doing well too. He bought his own house. Meanwhile, again we could not afford one. Partly because of the mortgage in my past, partly because I now work part-time and my husband is self-employed, which banks do not like. At some point a strong feeling of unfairness hit me. I realized I had spent 10 years living under someone else's debt. 10 years of limitations and overpayments. 10 years of watching everyone else move forward while we stood still. And I stayed silent, mostly for my mother's sake, because I knew if I spoke up, my brother would run to her, she would panic and cry, and I would have to comfort everyone except myself. Eventually something inside me broke. I did not want money. I did not want compensation. I did not ask for the house. I wanted one thing. To finally say it hurt me, and to hear even the smallest acknowledgement of that. I wrote my brother a long message explaining everything. That I did not know how much of this was his decision or pressure from our parents. That the fact remained. His mortgage ended up on me, and I carried the consequences for a decade. I said I was not asking him for anything financial. I only wanted him to understand what it cost me emotionally and practically. And to hear even one sentence of empathy. His response shocked me. He said he does not really remember, that maybe my parents told him I agreed voluntarily. He also said that since our parents transferred all their property to me, it somehow balanced everything out. And he added that he could not confirm anything because it was so long ago. So basically, he does not remember. I apparently agreed. I was already paid back through something I never asked for. It felt like he erased the entire reality of what happened to me. Then he went to complain to my mother. She called me crying. The usual lines. I will not survive if my children fight. What should I do? Should I sell my organs to help you? Emotional blackmail again. I tried explaining my side, but she was focused only on her own suffering. There was no space for my pain at all. Then my husband got involved. He saw how broken I was and called my father. He wanted to ask one question. Whether my brother felt any regret. The conversation was supposed to stay between them, but of course my father told everything to my mother. Suddenly she was in the center of that conflict too. Later I spoke to my brother on the phone. First my husband talked and said some harsh things. Yes, he was angry. Then I took the phone. My brother asked me, "What do you even want right now?" I told him I wanted him to understand how painful these 10 years were. That real families do not do this to each other. He said he did not know the mortgage was not voluntary for me. I asked him how that was not obvious. He wanted out. Suddenly I was the one holding his debt. Did he really think this was my dream? Then he repeated the argument that since our parents transferred everything to me, my suffering for 10 years was my contribution to the family's well-being. That all children help their parents. That this was normal. I told him I never wanted any of that property, and it did not compensate for 10 years of my life. At some point he said, "You do not have a brother anymore." And I, broken and exhausted, said, "Good. I am glad." After that, I tried calling my mother again to check on her. But she immediately attacked my husband. She said she would never forgive him for insulting my brother. She said he never earned well, never achieved anything. None of that is true. But for her, the main tragedy was not that I carried a debt that was not mine. The tragedy was that someone dared to say something unpleasant to her son. I tried saying that I was hurting, that I had been silent for 10 years, that I needed to speak. But my words meant nothing. In their minds the narrative is simple. Children must help parents. What I did was my duty. My suffering is irrelevant. My husband is the villain. My brother is the victim. My parents are the martyrs. And I am the ungrateful one who caused trouble by finally talking. My mother even said she would find money and close the mortgage immediately. I told her this was not about the mortgage anymore. Our life has already gone down a different path. The money will not return the lost decade. She did not hear me. She ended the call with "Forgive me for everything." But it was not accountability. It was a dramatic escape from the topic. Right now I feel empty when I think about my parents and brother. I am shaking, crying, unable to sleep or eat. And meanwhile they say they are suffering, but the reason, in their minds, is not the injustice but the fact that I dared to speak. The mortgage will not disappear because I spoke. The 10 years will not come back. Nothing will change legally. But did I really not have the right to say even once, "This hurt me"? It was heavy. I need you to understand that. My family now lives in their own story. I am ungrateful. My husband is useless. My brother is the victim. My parents are the suffering saints. And I feel like someone who was used for 10 years and then blamed for saying it out loud. So now I am asking. Did I have the right to speak about my pain? Did I really destroy the family by refusing to stay silent? Or is the real issue that my family simply cannot handle the truth I carried alone for a decade? And most importantly, how am I supposed to continue any relationship with my parents after this? Should I even try?